What's up, people? Dark Fool. How you doing? How you doing? I'm sitting here enjoying my coffee, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about Jesus. Yeah. Now, first off, in this video, I want to apologize. I'm going to cut and edit this video to cut back on a lot of rambling, but even if it seems as if I'm still rambling, even through the cutting and editing, I apologize. There's a lot to cover in this video. Yeah, there's a lot to cover in this video, and I'm just gonna hit it in whatever order. I'm just gonna relax, enjoy my coffee, and do it all. See, I'm rambling already. Fuck it. But how did this video come about? This video came about through a discussion with one of the other members of the sect of the Horn God that I'm involved in. There's a video. I'm sure you guys know of it. It's called Zeitgeist. It's been in circulation over the internet. It's been in circulation on DVDs for a long time now. And Zeitgeist is actually a great video, but it has a lot of facts wrong. It twists facts, distorts them to fit an agenda, which I believe has done a great disservice to it. The Zeitgeist actually does a great job in explaining certain concepts of personification, but unfortunately it distorts certain facts in order to fit this agenda. So, what one of the people of the sect has done is just, okay, you know what? It's factually wrong, disregard it altogether, which no. The problem with Zeitgeist is that it has a lot of truths mixed in with lies. And that's what I want to talk about today. This video is about Jesus Christ. Jesus the Christ. Not only am I going to be discussing Zeitgeist in this video, I also want to discuss all of my ideas, all of my beliefs when it comes to Jesus Christ, based on all the research that I've done in this area. I believe there's a lot more to Jesus Christ that meets the eye. You know, there's a lot more going on with that. One of the main things that we've been kicking around in the sect is the connection between Jesus Christ and Horus. But more specifically, I want to go even deeper than that. There's a connection to not only Jesus Christ and Horus, but Jesus Christ and Osiris as well. I mean, the concept of the dying and resurrected God started with Osiris. The concept of the dying and resurrected God started with Osiris, had to do with the personification of the flooding of the Nile River, the death of the crops, and then everything eventually rises again, and this death and resurrection concept personified through Osiris can be seen parallel to that. But if you've all played telephone before as kids, you start out with one idea, especially back then when many people weren't literate. That's why, like, in Egyptian writing, for example, there's falcons and hawks and stuff. These were all concepts that were put into writing, put into language, etc. These are all personifications of deeper meanings. I mean, look at the Sphinx, for crying out loud. The Sphinx is a good example of that. Of the lion, the human, snake even. All of these things are mixed in. These are personifications of deeper, hidden, occult meanings. So when it comes to the concept of the dying and resurrected God depicted in Osiris, that easily transfers to Jesus Christ, and especially, as Zeitgeist puts it, the personification of the dying and resurrection of the sun. It's the same concept, dying and resurrection. First it's in agriculture through Osiris, then it gets put into a different context of the personification of the sun, and of the solstices, and the equinox, etc. So this dying and resurrected theme is then transferred. And again, like when we were kids, if you've played that game of telephone, when you have an idea, you whisper it in one person's ear, and then whisper it in another person's ear, and so on, and then it just goes all the way around until the message is completely different than what it started out as, what it originated from. So that's what I believe happened not only with Christianity in general, but with the Christ mythos. The idea of dying and resurrection. See, that's just Osiris too. What about Horus? Horus was the resurrection, or looked at as the replacement of Osiris. and also the God of the dead, etc. So, I mean, all of these concepts, I mean, Jesus can be seen as both. You know, after and then Horus was a sky god, Christ died, was resurrected, went up into the heavens, and is going to return one day, etc. All of these themes easily shared with Christianity. Christianity, the Jesus myth, has taken many of these concepts and taken them into another direction. So, in that area, I believe the Zeitgeist got a lot of things right, especially when it comes to personification. Certain things it's gotten wrong, like, for example, I also believe that Dionysus played a role in the Jesus myth. However, you know, certain facts were distorted, like Dionysus' birthday was not December 25th. You know, sorry, that's just not true. There's a lot more I could list, but, I mean, I'm going to link in the description of this video. Zeitgeist first, so anybody who hasn't seen it, watch those videos. Videos debunking Zeitgeist are next. You know, you can see some fallacies, some things wrong. In fact, there is something that I'd like to refute in the video that actually refutes the Zeitgeist video. And that is the beginning where it says, well, you know, the sun and the word S-O-N and the word S-U-N are homophones, and so the argument altogether is invalid. That, I would have to say, is not true at all, considering that there are many, many myths going back hundreds, if not thousands of years, that personify gods as the sun, you know, chariots in the sky, in Greek myths, Egyptian hawk gods, etc., as sun gods. So I would argue that homophone argument is actually inaccurate. Plus, I stumbled upon this article on a topic called Monarchianism, primarily by Justin Martyr. Monarchianism, there's two types of it, modal and adoptionist. Each tried to explain the relationship between God the Father and Jesus his Son in different ways. So, again, the two types were modal and adoptionist, and in general, Monarchianism is the belief that the Godhead is singular, consisting of one monarchia. It emerged in the 2nd century as an orthodox reaction to the Gnostic belief that in the beginning there was more than one all-powerful being, a good God and an evil counterpart. It may also have emerged in reaction to the supposition of Justin Martyr that the relationship between Father and Son was not like the relationship between sun and its light, but like the relationship between one torch lit from another. The monarchs disapprove of the Gnosticism and Justin's theology because both seem to suggest divine plurality. So, even in these apostles, these saints, actually, Justin Martyr, if I recall, was a saint, they also talk about other sects, you know, like the Gnostics, that made a connection between the Son and the Son of God. So again, that homophone argument is just blown right out of the water by evidence and history. In fact, even Joseph Campbell remarked that there is a strong parallel between the Egyptian mythos and Christianity. And several other scholars have said that if there is any mythos that had any influence on Christianity or within the Christ mythos, etc., the only one that is the strongest of all of them would be the Egyptian mythos. And if you want to argue with scholars, and if you want to argue with Joseph Campbell, be my guest. Based on what I've researched, I believe that there are actually two Jesus Christs. One of them I just mentioned. One of them was the mythological Jesus Christ. The Christ that takes all of these myths, personifications, you know, over time and just kind of reintegrates them into a new myth, etc. The mythological Jesus is one Jesus Christ. But then there's the second Jesus Christ, who is a real person. And, you know, feel free to debate this, feel free to discuss this in the comments below, make video responses to this. I am open to being wrong in this area, but here's what I believe. The second Jesus Christ was more than likely Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar had his own set of morality based off of the Epicurean school of thought. One of these philosophies in particular, now there's a whole list, and I'm going to link those in the description as well. There's a list that is, a long, long list of parallels between Julius Caesar and between Jesus Christ. One of the things that Jesus Christ taught was love thy enemy as thy neighbor, etc. And one of the things that Julius Caesar did was when he conquered certain tribes, certain nations, what he did was he would turn around and make, the leaders of those tribes actually give them titles and positions of power. Not big positions, but just enough. So he was like loving his enemy. He was actually when he was conquering lands, he was like saying, hey, no hard feelings, He had his own philosophies that went against the Senate, so the Senate couldn't stand him. And he was later betrayed, not just by the Senate, by his own people, but he was also betrayed by one of his closest friends, Brutus. Does it make you go, So yeah, and he was stabbed several times too. Julius Caesar was stabbed several times. And what happened to Jesus Christ? He was stabbed through the side. In fact, there was a cult that was dedicated to deifying Julius Caesar. I had it up. Now, you can look that up. The cult of Julius Caesar. It's also on Wikipedia. And what better way to deify yourself than to put yourself into these myths that have been circulating for hundreds and hundreds of years? What better way? So that's my belief, that Jesus Christ was actually two people. One, he was a myth that has been circulating for hundreds and hundreds of years. And two, that he was Julius Caesar, who created a cult based on his philosophies, and in order to deify himself, integrated his teachings in with this mythos, solar deity mythos that had to do with agriculture, all of these that have circulated for hundreds of years, kind of played telephone. Julius Caesar deified himself by wrapping up his philosophies into these cults. So it all became one. And then, of course, later on, it was codified by Constantine and made the official religion of Rome. And it has carried on ever since throughout the ages. So that's my 2 cents on Jesus Christ. Thoughts, comments, video responses, have at it.